I took my niece in during her parents' divorce, but after she secretly filmed and humiliated my son for TikTok, I kicked her out. Now my son's unexpected move has the entire family turning against us. I welcomed my niece during her parents' separation, but she recorded and harassed my child through pranks and hidden footage for her TikTok content, so I removed her from our home. Now my son took action that has our entire family furious with us. I'm a 36-year-old woman with 3 children. My eldest is 14 male, middle child is 10 female, youngest is 7 male. My husband is 38 male. We reside in a community where everyone knows each other. Identical schools, identical teachers, identical coaches. My sister resides across town. My husband's sister resides 2 highway exits away. Everything is close enough that news travels quickly. My niece is 17. Her parents are experiencing a divorce that has continued for months and keeps extending. Court dates, legal documents, that sort of situation. She preferred not staying at either parent's house temporarily, so she approached us. I agreed because I recall that experience when grown-ups are fighting and children get trapped between them. We arranged the pull-out couch in the room adjacent to the kitchen. She transported a ring light, camera stands, containers of clothing, a bag of cosmetics, charging cables. Her device received alerts continuously. She maintains approximately 200K followers on TikTok. I didn't understand what that represented in practical daily life until she stayed here. Every 60 minutes she was recording or preparing to record, combining other content, reviewing feedback. She requested I participate in a choreographed routine once, and I declined involvement in anything. I informed her absolutely no recording any child without my or my husband's approval, plus the child's consent. My 14-year-old is the one who remains private and concentrates on academics. He arrives home, eats, goes to his bedroom, and works on building sets and experiments, electronics, construction sets, programming, radio equipment. He participates in science competitions. He has 1 or 2 peers he messages about assignments, but he doesn't socialize after school frequently. He enjoys predictable schedules. He dislikes group messaging. He dislikes being the center of attention. He will participate in activities because he wants to avoid confrontation. He communicates quietly. He will agree to be courteous and then feel trapped. Following a week of my niece staying with us, she began requesting him for brief performances. He declined several times. I overheard him, but then I noticed he appeared in one holding a flask from one of his sets, and she created content where she pretended it contained a romance potion, and he performed awkwardly. Responses labeled him science nerd and similar terms that made him feel used. He assured me it was acceptable. I repeated again, no publishing of anyone without permission. And if he declines, that means no. She claimed he did agree. I questioned him, and he confirmed yes. He stared at the ground. I should have been firmer at that moment. She continued filming throughout the house. My younger 2 enjoyed it initially because the camera focused on them and they performed dances and quick changes. I told her facial shots only when I'm present, and only if the children agree, and only if it's positive. I used exactly those terms. I kept repeating them because I believed if I maintained the guidelines simple, then it would be obvious. Situations deteriorated rapidly. She recorded my son sleeping and poured water on him, freezing water from a large container. He awakened gasping and trembling, and she giggled and claimed it was a joke and he would receive engagement and she would mention him. He felt bewildered and then upset and then silent. He went to the restroom and closed the door. I was at my job when this occurred, so I only witnessed it after it was posted. She uploaded it and wrote a description like "Wake up science kid" with laughing symbols. Comments arrived. Laughing, who is this? He appears like a weirdo. This explains why he doesn't have a girlfriend. I forced her to remove it when I returned home. She protested that everyone creates prank content. I stated, not in this household, and never on a sleeping individual, and never with a minor, without the guardian. She removed it. I assumed that concluded it. Then there were additional ones. I didn't discover them because she would upload while I was handling bedtime or preparing dinner or at work. 8 clips total. I only found out later. One showed him in his bedroom moving to a song he plays when he needs to release energy. He doesn't move to music in front of others. She filmed through the gap in the door and magnified the image. It included a description that labeled him strange relative and stated caught him moving alone. There were captured images of his expression. 500,000 views combined across those. A response video of someone making a fake attraction expression. People commenting ugly creepy. Other terms I won't write here because they remained in my mind and I don't want them in his mind again. How did I discover? My son returned from school with his hood raised and went directly to his bedroom. I knocked and he didn't respond. I thought he needed space. Then my middle child entered and mentioned kids were mocking him in the corridor and someone displayed a device with his image on it. I went to his room and he was beneath the covers. I sat on the floor and asked him to explain. He mentioned he was at lunch, and someone showed him the clip of him moving in the water incident. He didn't realize it was online. He said he had classmates in class making the song sounds when the instructor turned to right on the whiteboard. He said someone used a cruel name. He wept in a manner I haven't witnessed since he was small. He said he didn't want to return to school. He said he didn't want to be visible. He said he felt ill, and then he declined dinner and breakfast and claimed he wasn't hungry. I scheduled an appointment with his counselor. I emailed the guidance counselor at school. I brought him water. I sat outside his door. I confronted my niece immediately when I understood the situation. She claimed it was just humor and he should appreciate the exposure. She mentioned traffic benefits profiles. She suggested if he embraced it, he could market merchandise. I was attempting to listen, and I just ceased. I instructed her to erase every clip with him in it, every photograph, every segment, and send me evidence showing they were removed. I told her to gather her belongings. I messaged my sister and stated I'm delivering her. I transported her that evening. She wept during the trip and claimed I was destroying her career. I kept my focus on the road and informed her I prioritized my child first. I sent my sister evidence screenshots. My sister was shocked and promised she would discuss it with her. I returned home. I informed my husband everything. We agreed on no more house access for her without both me and him present, and only to collect her mail or during emergencies. We modified the internet password. We installed a security alert on the entrance. The following day, I contacted TikTok to report those clips. Some were already removed. I reviewed the profile and blocked any content that showed his face. He remained in his bedroom. He wouldn't make eye contact with me. He stored his building sets. He powered off his computer. He didn't want the radio equipment on his workspace. He informed me he was finished. He claimed people would always view him as that person in those videos. I apologized to him. I assured him none of this was his responsibility. I explained he didn't act incorrectly by moving in his own space or sleeping in his own bed or agreeing once because he didn't understand what he was consenting to. I offered to remove him from school for several days. He agreed. I contacted the attendance department. I called his counselor again, and they rescheduled him earlier. He consumed toast and a banana, and that was everything. I asked the school if any recording occurred at school. They claimed they didn't know, but they would investigate. I informed them if any student filmed, and we would submit a complaint. They mentioned phones are prohibited in class, and they would remind educators. I requested they speak with the students who were sharing the videos. They promised they would contact parents. I don't know their capabilities, but I wanted it documented. I keep replaying the water incident in my mind because I wasn't present. I imagine the exact sensation of awakening wet and confused, and that someone you live with did that to you. And then you attend school, and kids have seen your face, and comments tell you what your face represents. I keep thinking that I should have confiscated her device the night of the first video, or sent her to my sister's immediately, or monitor her profile every evening. I keep thinking that if you tell a child you love them and you protect them, then you must act quickly, and I acted one day too late. My husband said we did the correct thing by removing her and that we can't control what she does from her own residence now, but we can protect our home. His sister claimed we were overreacting and that kids post everything, and our son needs to learn to accept humor. She mentioned boys communicate like that online, and we can't monitor the internet. I told her to cease. I informed her this wasn't a minor prank. I explained about the eating issues and the school avoidance. She claimed he will recover. I stopped communicating with her temporarily after that because I didn't want to say something I couldn't retract. So, that's where I was when I initially wrote this, attempting to determine if I went too extreme by removing my niece. I don't believe I did. Perhaps there is more I should accomplish. I keep questioning myself if I am the one who initiated all this by allowing her to stay at all. But I also understand that I saw a child in a difficult situation and I said, "Come here," and I provided her a roof and a door that locked in food and transportation and rules. She violated a rule and harmed my child. I chose my child. I would choose him every time. I know that part is correct. Update 1. This section is going to sound like a plot twist, but it's just what occurred over the following couple of weeks, and I didn't even know about it until afterward. My son maintains a Reddit profile. He reads science communities and programming communities, and sometimes school communities. He doesn't post frequently. He was browsing and discovered a discussion where people were talking about a group conversation that had posted screenshots from a private Instagram story, and it was kids in our area mocking another child. The comments in that discussion included screenshots of a group conversation that had my niece and my husband's sister's daughter in it. That daughter is 18 and was set to attend an Ivy school through early decision. The conversation had them using cruel names. Freak stalker energy. They shared memes of his face from the dancing clip. They were planning a reaction video series where they would overact and pretend to fear him. I didn't see any of this while it was occurring because he didn't inform me. He captured screenshots of everything without telling us. He emailed the college admissions department that had accepted my husband's sister's daughter. He included the screenshots in the email. He explained that he was the child in the clips and that this was targeted harassment. He didn't exaggerate. He listed dates and links. He mentioned he was sending this because he saw her name in the conversation and saw that she encouraged these posts. He stated this was bullying and that he was struggling with school and eating because of it. He signed his name. He didn't send it from a shared account. He did this independently. A week later, the college responded to him and also sent a notice to my husband's sister's daughter that they were reviewing conduct and expected behavior. Then they rescinded her early decision. They stated student conduct expectations apply from the time of application through enrollment and that they had reviewed the screenshots and her other public activity and decided she did not meet the standard. I learned this because my husband's sister called me screaming. She claimed we had raised a tattletale. She claimed we destroyed her child's future. She claimed family protects family. She claimed we are teaching our son to be weak. She posted on Facebook about cancel culture and how teenagers joke around and how adults are ruining lives over teen behavior. She named me without naming me. She claimed I should be ashamed. I didn't know my son had sent the email. I asked him why he didn't tell me, and he explained he wanted to do something that had significance, and that this was the only thing he could think of that would make people see that this was not just humor. He mentioned he wasn't trying to ruin anyone. He explained he just wanted it to stop and to matter to someone. I didn't know what to say. I told him I hear him. I told him he had a right to speak for himself. I told him I wished he had told me so I could help him phrase it and make sure he felt safe after. He mentioned he knew I would have told him not to do it. He wasn't wrong. I don't know if I would have told him not to do it, but I would have worried about consequences and tried to slow it down. He was tired of slowing it down. My husband is stuck in the middle with his sister. He told her that our son is a person and that what her daughter did had consequences and that the school made the decision. She said words back I won't print. My phone kept lighting up with her posts and tags. She claimed, we are raising a snitch, and that boys need to roll with it. She claimed, girls get called names online every day, and no one rescinds anything. She threw in that my niece only did what gets views, and that he should have enjoyed the attention. People commented under her posts, some encouraging her, some telling her to stop. A couple family members messaged me to say they were sorry she was saying all that. I set her to limited on Facebook. Then I logged out for a while, because reading it made my stomach twist. The school counselor called to check in on my son, and also asked if we knew anything about an email to a college because there were rumors. We confirmed. The counselor said it isn't the school's business what happens at colleges, but that from a safety standpoint, my son should have support because kids talk. We set up a plan for late arrivals and early pickups for a while. His therapist added a second session that week. We look at food in tiny pieces now. He eats toast with jam and soup and smoothies. I'm writing numbers on a notepad, so I don't lose track of what he has in a day. I'm not going to share those numbers because it's no one's business except that we're paying attention. Update 2. My husband's sister hired a lawyer. She filed a complaint with the college. She claimed the screenshots were out of context. She claimed my son made false claims to destroy her daughter. She claimed I manipulated him into emailing. She claimed we defamed her. She threatened to sue Reddit for some reason because the thread had screenshots. I saw a copy of what she sent because she forwarded it to half the family with carbon copies like it was a work memo. The college declined her appeal. They stated they reviewed everything including the context she provided, and they stand by their decision. They cited their policy for conduct and social media. She wrote back with more all-caps lines. They didn't answer again. Now her daughter is trying to apply to other schools. The common application asks if you have ever had an offer rescinded. She has to check yes. Deadlines have passed for a lot of places. She is sending emails to admissions offices and getting replies like we wish you well. I feel bad for any child stuck in the middle of adult fights. I also think that actions have weight, and that you don't get to call someone a freak and push a meme of their face around and then say it's just a joke when it lands with real harm. Both things can sit in my head. I can feel bad for a teenager who lost something and still not take the blame for what my son did to tell the truth about what she and others did to him. The lawyer piece kept going for a bit. She claimed she would sue us for defamation. I talked to a lawyer too, just to be safe. They said there is nothing there. Truth is a defense. Screenshots are evidence. Minors have protections too. Also, I didn't publish the screenshots. My son sent them to a college where she had an existing relationship as an applicant. I took notes and put away money in case we needed to respond to something formal. My niece sent me a text that said, sorry. No punctuation. I didn't answer. I don't know what to say to a one-word text after all of this. My son is still home most days. The school is working with us. Teachers send notes that he can turn in work late and that they will grade with grace. He sits with his laptop and does assignments in little bits. Sometimes he stares at the screen and then closes it. Sometimes he does 3 quizzes and emails them to me like he needs proof that he did something. There are days with 2 meals and days with 1 and days with 3. I'll take the 3 days as a sign that he felt okay for a moment. We turned off comments on all our personal social. We made our accounts private. My younger two are off TikTok completely. They didn't fight it as much as I expected. My daughter said she misses the dances, but she doesn't miss the phone in her face. My little one went outside and built a Lego spaceship and asked me to film it. I said I would send it to Grandma and no one else. He was fine with that. Update 3. First, my son's school set up a meeting with the principal, counselor, 2 teachers, me, and my husband. They offered homebound instruction for a few weeks. They also offered to switch him out of 2 classes where the worst comments were coming from. He nodded and said yes to the class changes. He said no to homebound because he wants to try to go back in person next week for 2 periods and see how it feels. We set it up so I can drop him off for a second and pick him up before lunch. He wrote that plan out in a notebook himself. He said seeing it in his handwriting helps. We put the notebook on the fridge. He gets to draw a line through a day if it felt okay. On the first day, he wrote, went and sat by door, left early. He drew a line through it. He put the pen down and didn't say anything. I told him I saw it. Second, we met with a therapist who does work with teens who have been harassed online. She gave him steps for exposure to the internet again that doesn't involve doom scrolling. 5 minutes at a time on a site that is not tied to faces. He picked a physics forum. He posted a question about a problem from a practice test. Someone answered with formulas and no comments about him. He said, "Thank you." That was it. He smiled in a way that wasn't big or showy. It was just there for a second. I caught it and then looked away so he wouldn't feel watched. Third, my niece posted an apology video. It was a Notes app screen and her voiceover. She said she is sorry to anyone hurt by my content. She said she is taking time to reflect. She did not say my son's name. The comments were split. Some said she shouldn't have to apologize. Some said she didn't really apologize. She deleted it after a day. She texted me again with 3 lines this time. "Auntie, I'm sorry. I didn't get how bad it was. Can I talk to him?" I showed the text to my son. He said, "Not now." He said, "Maybe later with his therapist." I told her that. She sent a thumbs up and hasn't pushed since. My husband's sister is still angry. She filed a complaint with the district saying we are making a hostile environment for her daughter because other cousins won't talk to her now. The district sent a generic letter back saying this is a family matter. She posted the letter and said the system is rigged. I muted her again. I keep thinking about how much time she spends writing posts, and I wish she would put that time into sitting with her kid and making a plan. I know that thought is petty. I'm tired. There was also a call from Child Services. An anonymous report said I was neglecting my son because he lost weight and wasn't going to school. The worker came by. I had a folder with doctor notes, therapist notes, the school plan, a food log, and a list of appointments. She looked through everything. She looked in the pantry. She asked my son if he feels safe. He said yes. She closed the file. She said, "This happens sometimes when family fights spill over." I don't know who made the call. I have a guess. I'm not going to say it out loud. My son and I went to the garage and pulled out a box of kits and tools. We sorted them. I didn't tell him to. He just opened the box and set things in rows. We chose a project that is simple and steps you can check off. He put together 2 boards and tested a circuit. The light blinked. He wrote blink on a scrap of paper and taped it to the board. He didn't say anything. I said nothing. We left it on the table. Later that night, my little one wandered in and asked what it was, and my son said it blinks and showed him. They watched it blink for a while. I stood in the doorway and then went back to the sink because I didn't want to hover. We also met with the school resource officer about the videos. He said because some of the filming happened in our home without consent, we could file a report. He explained what would happen. It felt heavy. We decided to hold off because my niece took the videos down and because my son said the last thing he wants is cops showing up at his cousin's house. I told him we can change our minds later. The officer gave us a card and told us to email if any new videos appear. He also said to keep everything backed up. I have a folder with dates and screenshots and links. I bought an external drive and copied it all there. I don't like that I have to keep this, but I will. Money-wise, therapy is adding up. We adjusted the budget. I'm cutting back on takeout. We had rice and eggs and vegetables this week more than once. My son asked for toast with peanut butter for dinner one night, and I said sure, and added apple slices. We're trying to make food simple and not a battle. I'm tracking sleep too. He sleeps in stretches. Sometimes he is up late. I stopped trying to force a lights-out time because it made him more tense. We care more about total sleep in a 24-hour period than exact hours at night right now. Some people will ask if he learned anything from sending that email. I asked him that. He said he learned that he can act and that people will call him names for acting and that some systems will listen and some will not. He said he doesn't feel proud or ashamed. He just feels like he did something that had a result. He said he doesn't want to be the kid who got someone's offer taken away as his label. I told him we don't have to be labels. We can be what we do next. He said that sounded like a poster in a guidance office. We both laughed a little. It was a short laugh, but it counted. I also called my sister again. I told her I need to know that when my niece is with her, she is getting limits around online stuff. My sister said yes. She said she is meeting with a counselor with my niece. They are putting her phone in the kitchen at night. They are doing community service at the library.
Good.
I don't know if any of it sticks. I hope it does. I don't hate my niece. I don't want harm for her. I just don't want her near my son right now. That is the line.